Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is Hurmat from Lahore and I welcome all of you for the third session of book clubs across borders between Lahore and Panjsher. The book that we are going to discuss today is The Kite Runner by Khalid Hosseini, and I'll just give a brief introduction about the book and what I think about the book, and then I'll ask my friends in Panjsher to tell me what their thoughts about the book. So I've been reading this book for the past whole week, and I feel like this book is one of the most important books of our generation. Even though I already knew about the storyline, what happens in the story, but the way Husseini has written this whole book, it's very heart-touching, enlightening, and also very heartbreaking as well. There are some moments, I won't give any kind of spoilers if someone hasn't finished the book, but there are many moments in this book which make you reflect on your whole life as well. So there are many moments. It's this very famous quote from this book, which even if you haven't read the book, you will have seen it anywhere else on the internet or maybe on postcards as well, for you 1,000 times over. And the scene where Hassan says this sentence to Amir, it's so, I don't even have the words to explain how I'm feeling about that book right now. So I would really like my friends in Panjsher to come forward and share their thoughts about the book, what they felt while reading the book. And if anyone of you has finished the book, I would really like your review on it. So Panjsher, over to you.
يخرج من السطح في الكاسات والكاميرا الألعاب القصيرة.
In the name of Allah, I want to tell you something about the book that I have read. Khalid Hosseini, the author of the Kite Runner of book, the book that we have studied recently, or recently he mentioned revolution of his life, and he said that he was pledged of Rahim Khan for calling him to Pakistan, and that he could become what he is today at the age of 12 in 1925. When he was in Pakistan, there is remembered the precious moment of his lives. When he was in Kabul and with his friend Hassan, and he could change his whole life by moving to Pakistan, and there could find way go to America, and made one of America's state his home. His home. There he could study and could become a literate man. Then he wrote many stories, novels, and passages. Then it is in the second part of the book, he described about deep relationship between Amira and Hassan, the two main characters of the book. He had a friend his name was Hassan. Amira and Hassan both were born in same house and grew up in the same house, but is in different level of living. Because Hassan was son of a servant, and Amir was a famous son of a famous and rich merchant. One side, Amir had access with a lot of facilities, and for example, he had access in education. He could go to mosque to go to mosque to read Islamic studies. He had good house with lots of modern materials and toys, but Hassan had nothing. There is a big difference between them. Poor Hassan didn't have access in education, uh, Islamic studies, uh, good and new clothes. Even he was in the same house. When you are son of rich men, you have everything, but if you are that is poor, you have nothing. The both were motherless because of lack of medical facilities. Amir lost his mother. Every day Afghans are losing their mothers because they don't have access in clinics, medicines, and ambulance. Most of people are living in remote areas. There is not much facilities, and modern and new materials are not available. Amir and Hassan were both good friends in this book. The other third to make the novel very interesting. He mentioned a deep relationship and love among them. They played together, they went cinema and bazaars together, so they were so close to each other and they loved each other very much, but moving of Amir to Pakistan made them separate. Thank you very much from your deep attention.
Thank you so much for sharing that detailed review of the book. Anyone from Lahore would like to talk about the book and what they felt about while reading it? Noman, and we have Abhishek Harrison from Lahore.
Yep. Assalamu alaikum, ma'am.
Walaikum assalam. Yes.
I'm Abhishai.
Yes, please, Abhishek, please go ahead.
Okay, so from past few days, I read a book. The book name was The Kite Runner. So just finished the book, and I'm still shocked and sad, and still drawing into the brilliance of this book, because this is far the best book that I have read. That's make me emotional, happy, sad, angry, and every other emotion one can feel. That surprise the main point. The main point is that of the book. I bet you will trending keep on your page. So the element of sadness
yes.
is. Are you saying something?
No, please go ahead.
Okay. So the element of stress, distress, and everything in the book is this book is literally this book is crazy. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abhishek, for your thoughts. Yes, of course, this book is really a page turner, and you don't want to put it down till you have finished it. In fact, while I was reading it over the weekend, I had some family commitments, but I still kept on thinking about these characters and how this story is progressing. What I really would like to talk about is the way Khalid Hosseini has portrayed Afghanistan before the Soviet war and then Afghanistan after the Soviet war and after the invasion of Taliban. So I would really like our participants to shed light on this, especially from our participants at Panjsher, that they have also, Khalid Hosseini has also portrayed some traditions and of course the tournament of kite flying and also the tradition of kids running after the kites, hence being the kite runners. So would anyone from Panjsher would like to talk about this? And also shed some light on how Khalid Hosseini has portrayed these traditions.
Excuse me, Hurmat. Students are saying that they are trying again and again, and they also have shared page with me. They are unable to join. Where the page I am showing, they are showing to me is that there is written only wait for host will let you in soon. Na? They are saying that when we are clicking to this page is opening, how we can join?
All right, all right. Um,
Please see
yes,
finally.
I'm checking. Ms. Sadaf, please share the names of the students who are trying to connect and they're unable to join. In the meantime, please, anyone from Panjsher would like to answer my question?
Yes. Let's ask one of my participants to come here and answer your question.
Thank you.
How do you get your name?
Assalamu alaikum. By the permission of Director of LSC Panjsher, Khurram Saib, and our program coordinator, Teacher of Fest, and all of yours, I would like to have a preface before answering questions about the Kite Runner book. The Kite Runner book is set against the backdrop of political turmoil from the overthrow in Afghanistan and also the end to the end 1917 and to the rise of the Taliban in 1919. And some Afghan believes that the rules of Taliban would be a beneficial change, since that they are thinking that they have a potential relationship, and they have the thing that they are a destructive force in Afghanistan, as the Soviet occupiers have been. And by the in 2001, by the invasion of United States and allied nation Afghanistan, the Taliban controls broke down, and there are a significant limit of them, conflicts of them, or remains to this day. And then I would like to tell you some about the Khalid Hosseini, the author of the Kite Runner, that who is Khalid Hosseini, where is from, what did he do in the last, and where is now. And I would like to tell you something, that Khalid Hosseini is born at Kabul, Afghanistan, and his father was a diplomat in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Afghanistan, and his mother was a teacher. He taught Farsi and history at the school. And the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Afghanistan relocated the Hosseinis family to the Paris. And after the passing several months at Paris, they want to come back to their homeland in Afghanistan. But on that time, as you mentioned before, that it was the incursion and the communist regime in Afghanistan and the incursion of Soviet occupation in Afghanistan, that was very heinous, and it was very ridiculous day. It was a bloody day, that every day, everywhere fighting, shooting, targeting, beating the pupils, and it was very heinous. It was very dangerous place that they are see that the situation in Afghanistan not good. It's not safe, anymore, they decided to go to the United States. And in the United States, he continued their education, and he get their bachelor in biology and at the Santa Clara University of United States. And then he get their another degree from San Diego of from United States. The first novel of Khaled Saini that published in 2000. The Kite Runner book, a story of passing story of Afghanistan and what did he passing in recent, and it's one of the most book that has more than almost 14 million copies worldwide. And also I have to tell you some issue about this Kite Runner book. It has many chapters that I would like to tell you some issue that the main idea that I get from reviews this book. And the chapter number 2 is start to the name of the start to the characters and from the story of the narrator and his relationships with the names they mentioned in the chapter 1, like Baba, Hassan, and Amira and Hassan, and other names that they are mentioned in this book. Baba is Amir's father, and Hassan is the servant of Baba. That they grew up in a one house because he was servant of his father, and they grew up. And also, I have to say that another issue is I have to talk about it, about the reading of the Amir and how they read it, how they celebrate their readings. It was very interesting and for me that on that time, Baba Amir's father had a commercial friends. In commercial, Baba Amir's father decided to change their relations, friendship or commercial friendship into a family relation. They asked for general name, the commercial name of Baba's Amir father was General Tahir. And Baba asked for General Tahir that he want to change their friendship into a family relation. His daughter, General Tahir's daughter, for his son Amir. And Amir accept, and next day they return to the Tahir house, and according to the traditions of Afghan, as the Baba instruct Amir to kiss Ms. Tahir's hand. And he did it, and according to the tradition, it was not allowed for daughter to come the first day of their engagement, and Surah does not exist first. And also, they have mentioned another issue and the novels, that it was very important and very interesting, and it was very heinous and shocking every of us that we review it. It was they mentioned the northern conflicts of Afghanistan, and Kabul suffers from the three factions, infighting from three factions, that it was the Taliban and the Massoud troops and Mujahideen and others that there. And on that time, Hassan and his son also ran kites. But when the Taliban seized the power, when they rule in Afghanistan, as many of people think that they are, they think as a point of many people, they think that they are as a heroes, but it was not by Hassan. Hassan responds to their coming of Taliban because he was a Shia Muslim Hazara. He responded to their coming that God please help the Hazaras. It's something that's very ridiculous and very shocking every one of us, that they are, because Taliban do a lot of cruel against the Hazara people, and when they seized the power in Afghanistan, they banned kite fighting. And after that, 3 years later, the Taliban massacred the Hazara people in Mazar Sharif. It's a province, and one of the provinces in northern Afghanistan.
Well, thank you for your attention and your coordination. I would like it wasn't boring for yours. Thank you from you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And of course, it wasn't boring for us. It was a really detailed review of the book. Anyone from Lahore would like to talk about how they felt about the book? And also, the book contains a lot of shocking moments, which make you think that, oh my God, I didn't see that coming. I would really like our participants to tell me at what points they felt really shocked and they couldn't keep the book down and they wanted to finish it in one go. So anyone from Lahore would like to answer this question first?
Yeah, me. My name is Zuman. Hello. Assalamu alaikum.
Hello. Walaikum
Uh,
assalam.
so basically, this book is beautifully written. I distinctly remember all the times I have cried while reading this masterpiece of a novel. It touches on loyalty, betrayal, trauma, guilt, and essentially redemption. The writing draws you in and seamlessly creates a movie in your mind. The part I loved the most about the book is how it premises of a man who had to live with the guilt and trauma for his childhood and all the way till adult life, only come to a point where he finally redeems himself. The best message here is how everyone can always become a better person no matter what past was lived. And the first step is to forgive themselves. That is the hardest thing to do sometimes. Even if everyone else, most importantly, Allah has already forgiven you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Noman. Anyone else from Lahore? Atika, would you like to answer this question about how you felt about the book and were there any moments in the book that you found really shocking? Atika, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, please, if you can, please answer this question if you can.
Atika, bacha, give answer.
Yeah. So the kite, I think that the kite symbolized Amir's happiness and its guilt also. Happiness because he was once a champion kite fighter and wants to bring the blue kite back to Baba. And guilt because kite portray as a sign of betrayal of Hassan when he allows to be raped. Hassan has already redeemed himself by the point. The kite is no longer a symbol of his guilt. Instead, it acts as a reminder of his childhood, and it also becomes the way that he finally able to connect with Sohrab.
Thank you so much, Atika, for bringing up that point. So Atika basically talked about what the kite portrays in the book, The Kite Runner. Anyone from Panjsher would like to shed some light on this, that what the kite symbolizes in the book and why the book is named The Kite Runner?
Let's ask one of our participants to come here. For that reason, okay.
Hello and good morning. Glad to see you once again, and thanks from LLC to connect us once again and that we continue our third session in here. As a little bit problems that I couldn't read complete all the books, but I have take some notice that I want to talk about these four issues. The first issue that I'm going to give you some information about that is a step-by-step Afghanistan. And the second step, which is very necessary for all the people of Afghanistan and all the world which is thinking about this, that's our immigration system, which is existing all over the world, and most of our Muslim people in Afghanistan people who are living in other countries. And the third issue, I'm going to talk about the Afghan children's situation, which are exist in our country, in which position and what are they doing. So first, I'm going to talk about the history of Afghanistan, that in which level, in which system we are going to be, what happened to our Afghanistan. So I'm going to talk about from the time of Daud Khan, which Afghanistan was exists in a good situation. Afghanistan, national armies and everything was going well. But unfortunately, by happening of some problems, which is created in Afghanistan by some other countries, and Afghanistan once again went to with a bad condition, with war confliction, more people have been killed and more people have been injured in immigration from our countries. So this was a situation that more people went to other countries, and the second regime, which is coming, as our one of brother, they said, they talk about. And the second session, we also got information about Taliban regime, which came to Afghanistan, that we lost everything. So let's talk about this 2 decade, which exists from 2000 until now, that which is 2020. I want to give you some information that in which round and which kind of situation we are exist, and our people, male, female, our government, and all this new generation which is exists, what is their want, demand. I want to give you all good information about this. So we thank, so from first, we are going to be thanks from Allah that give us a second chance that we are going to progress our country. We want to develop our country. So this is the one of the main and necessity issue for all the people who are living in one country, if it would be every country. So since 2000, Alhamdulillah, we have a very good, internet communication. We have a good system of education. We have a good, system of transportation in all 34 provinces of Afghanistan, as well some problems which are exist in Afghanistan, but still we are hopeful for this, that once a day, as like a peaceful country, it would be, and all the people with a relaxful mind, they will live in here. Without this, if we think about our education systems, our business system, our export and import system, so these are the main point and economic point of our country, which is all the people who are thinking about this. So first, when we think about education system from 2000 until now, it is very progress. A lot of progress, especially the main province of Afghanistan, like for example, Kabul, Jalalabad, Mazar, and some other province which are exist. So the education system is, alhamdulillah, every day is going to be very good, and here are coming the great teachers, intelligent, and they try to every day they want to create a places where the people of Afghanistan, male and female, they could go there and they can learn their English, their technology systems, their economic system, their politician system, everything. They have to improve theirs. So this is a little bit of information about the history of Afghanistan. Second issue, as I have studied in Khalid Hosseini book, that when we think about many Afghans that who are from Afghanistan, they have been born there, they have grown up there, but unfortunately by some problems which has created in their own life, and they have been immigrated to other countries, and they have been some like Western countries, European countries, and some other countries, they have been there, and they complete their own educations in there. So being an immigration, which are heartbreak, which they have their self, and they have a sorrow or sympathy which they have for Afghanistan. So they are writing many books. Without Khalid Hosseini, we have a lot of other people who are living in other countries. They are writing the story that when a person who want to read it, so it is possible maybe somebody cry for their stories. So why would this situation is coming to that one of the person who is Khalid Hosseini, that as I have read 2-3 chapters of this book from the beginning, that they were very sorrowful, some story was exist. So immigration became one of the bad position for the Afghan people, that they have been divided to many countries. Some people who were poor, so they have been in Pakistan, Iran, and some like India. Some person who are rich and they have like good position, good life, good money, so they have been went to European and Western countries. They are living there, and they write in some books. Immigrations bring very bad fortunatity for the Afghanistan people, that they have lost everything. The first things that I want to be mentioned for you, that is, they lost their homeland. If they are from every part of Afghanistan, from every province of Afghanistan, so they lost for them. They didn't understand that when they burn, when they grow up, when they become old, so the life change, and their life is changed like very, very fast, like water is growing somewhere or passing from somewhere. It's a kind of very bad situation for the people of Afghanistan. The exact point is, again, once I'm going to tell, it's called immigration. And immigration, they didn't understand where is my mom, dad, children, wife, their relatives. So maybe some of them alone, some of them with their families, they have been to other countries, and some of them, sink in the ocean, sea, and in a ship or in some other things. So these all was disasters that happened to Afghan people. And immigration, the thing other bring to Afghanistan that has become illiteracy, that non-education, which is coming to for Afghanistan people, that our schools destroy our courses, destroy our education places, destroy our book has been lost, and our traditional culture, everything, which was a very necessity for the Afghanistan people, that they have to be, they go there and they have to read and they about their purviews. Only bad disaster, they don't have something positive for their future thinking. But since 2000, the people, once again, male and female, the educated people once again came to Afghanistan, and they continue, such as today now, which we think about LLC Center, that today make us this kind of great program that the people are connecting with each other, one country to other countries, and they can share their good ideas and positive and negative. We have everything like positive, negative, but we would like to hear and say something positive, because it would be good for our future relationships. So all these were one of the bad disaster which is happening to this country, that was an immigration system, which is, so now at the end, we can see that many people who were living in other countries is, as a message, they send books, magazines, or some like online system which they have prepared for the Afghanistan male and females. And without this, such as today, Khalid Hosseini, that who, authored this kind of book, and he is authorized of this book to send, that we have studied from his story, that what was before in Afghanistan, what he want to tell for the new generation of Afghanistan people. It's one of the main point of Khalid Hosseini, that in one of chapter as I have read. And at the end, I want to say that one day Afghanistan will be come full and completely progress and improvement, and all people enjoy from their being in this country, and no to need for this to go to other countries is, and this process of immigration will be completely finished. And such a Khalid Hosseini, we have other people who are living in other countries, they back to Afghanistan, and they work in Afghanistan with Afghanistan people in their home, in their homelands. Thanks from all of you. I hope you could enjoy from my speaking. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. And when you were saying, something that came to my mind while you were discussing about the immigration process, and how in the book, Khalid Hosseini wrote that when Amir comes back to Afghanistan and when he sees his whole city destroyed, what kind of feelings he was having. So when I was reading that part in the book, I was thinking, let me tell you something about myself, that I love my city, the city in which I live, Lahore. It's also a very historical city. It was formed way back centuries ago during the Mughal times, even before that. And there are many historical landmarks in this city. And I simply adore my city. I had to live in another city for like 3 years, and I kept on coming back to my place. So I was just thinking that God forbid, unfortunately, something happens to my country, something happens to my city, and if I have to flee, and and then I come back after many years, how will I feel? So I cannot even possibly imagine what your country went through, what your people went through in all those years ago. So anyone from Lahore would like to share their feelings on that, if they felt anything like that while reading the book? Participants from Lahore, can you hear me?
Muniba, give answer, beta.
Numan, Atika, and Abhishek. And we have Muniba as well. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, please, I'm done.
You can tell again, beta.
Or anyone else would like to talk about the book? Maybe give a summary or review the book?
In the name of Allah, my name is Muslim Muhammadi, and I want to talk about the summary of the book and which stories are collected and covered of this book. The book tells us about Hussein's life story, which is written by the Khalid Husseini. The whole book covers about the story of Hassan, Amir, and Rahim Khan. Hassan faced a lot of the difficulties and facilities in his life during the 1975, which was the time of the Taliban and Soviet Union and the communist period of Afghanistan national. During this period, it was very hard to have freedom in your society, and all of the power was under hand of the foreign countries and tribes armies, which it was very hard for Afghan people to have freedom of studying, life carrying, and the development and promotion in their countries. So when we look after our history in year 1975, it was rare people have life facilities in their livelihood during these years, which it was very hard to people to go out and have the freedom which they could carry on their life as well as other people in their countries they had. Therefore, Hussein's life story is only one of the Afghan life story which is collected and written in a book. But the book tells us to never forget our past histories, which are the other people like Hussein has a lot of difficulties faced in their livelihood. So, in which I read in the book, it was very. It was a very, which I can say, shameful for Afghan peoples and for the Afghan history. The other people which was in their only on their countries and faced with a lot of physical facilities and development of their countries, but in Afghanistan it was fighting, and the other people, other countries was. In Afghanistan, but they didn't have their own freedom. So this is the story of one Afghan boy or one Afghan citizen. But other stories are also the most meaningful and which they face with a lot of the difficulties, but they also carry on their lives. And today, the Afghanistan development is by their blood. As we can say, the commander Ahmad Shah Massoud, the hero national of Afghanistan, which he faced and do a lot of changes for Afghanistan development. Only he stands for his country, not for only his beneficent. Other people, which we go back of the history of Afghanistan, whoever was the power and the power of Afghanistan, they did by their own self, and the power of Afghanistan was by their one nation, and only the whole area of Afghanistan was not safe, and the people was not thinking about their residents, but the only who stands and for fight against these kinds of issues. He was a hero of Afghanistan, Ahmad Shah Massoud, and this is one of our history of Afghanistan, which we can say it was light and it was good for us. Otherwise, other people who are in the past of this, who was in the past history of power of Afghanistan, they did by their own beneficial. Only we can say the Najib and the other Dr. Najib, Dawood Khan, Zahir Shah, everybody of them were, as we can say, exile. We can say that they were exiled by their own self. Thank you for your listening. It was my opinion of the summary of this book, and which I collected to tell you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are receiving very insightful opinions and thoughts from Panjsher, especially talking about the context of the premise in which the Kite Runner, the book, is based, and especially talking about the political and the political backdrop. And just adding on to the conversation we've been having from Panjsher, from the points that students from Lahore raised as well about the story being the story of redemption as well. So there is is guilt involved. And then there is a process of Amir going through that redemption arc. So, you know, in narrative, there is an arc of redemption where, you know, you experience guilt. There is a process where you experience trauma, you come to terms with that trauma, and then eventually there comes a resolution in the form of redeeming yourself or healing. So I just want to talk about this perspective as well. For example, you know, in my opinion, when I read about this book, when I read this book and when I think about the book, you know, I think about how Afghan society has become subject to trauma due to war and insurgency, and putting into perspective the works of contemporary Afghani writers. We've been reading several Afghani books from, you know, writers who assume hyphenated identities. You know, some of them are Afghani Americans, some of them are Afghani British citizens, but they belong to the land of Afghanistan, and they have written extensively about Afghanistan and the experience of trauma, especially during 1970s and 80s, Husseini included. And the protagonists in these stories, they often they have experience of atrocities and uprootedness brought on by war, or witness it firsthand. For example, in the case of Amir in Kite Runner, there is a personal trauma that is experienced by protagonists. For example, in the case of Hassan, who is subjected to sexual assault, or, you know, there is a collective trauma that is experienced by a nation in terms of how Afghan people have lost their heritage, have lost their cultural sites, have lost a lot of information about their traditions and histories over the passage of time. So, you know, I'm thinking about writing as a means of processing what has happened, as a means of coming to terms with trauma, and writing and reading as a process of catharsis over what has happened. So, you know, I would like to talk about, you know, what is your opinion about writing and reading as acts of coming to terms with trauma and eventually healing, serving to aid the process of healing on a personal and collective scale. So I just wanted to get thoughts running about this point as well. Do you consider writing and reading a process of healing as well, and coming out of trauma and finally progressing as a nation? So would someone from Panjsher like to add on to this, or someone from Lahore would like to comment on this? So let me reiterate my question here. What is your opinion about writing as a process of healing in general? Let's start with that. Yeah.
First, ask this question from Lahore, and let me ask one of my participants to get ready to talk about this issue.
So Lahore, would you like to comment on my question? In your opinion, what is writing to you, and how do you think of this idea of writing as a means of healing oneself? So would someone from Lahore like to comment on this?
I would like to answer this question that Sana raised. Writing and reading as a process of healing or coming to terms with your trauma. So I would really like to point out the year that we have been going through. We all are living through a global pandemic, and this pandemic and the situation of lockdown has been affecting everyone very differently. So I'm an avid reader. I read a lot of books every year, but this year I think the only thing that kept me going was reading. I was reading 2 books, 3 books per week. And sometimes, especially during lockdown, we were in lockdown for 4 to 5 months, and still we were working from home, but there were times when I didn't even know what to do with myself. So I kept on reading, and I kept on, the only thing that kept on, that wanted me to wake me up every day was to finish the book that I'm reading and want to know what is going to happen in the book. And also I started writing as well. I kept a journal. I was writing every night that what has been happening in my day and what has been happening globally. What has been happening with respect to the pandemic, how the situation is rising and how we are trying to cope with it. And since hopefully we are in the process of getting a vaccine, I'm also these days I'm writing that yes, we are on that time that hopefully we are going to find a solution to this pandemic. So yes, I will definitely agree with Sanat that yes, reading and writing is a very good way to process your thoughts, to process your feelings. And even when you are reading a book, there are, what I find always is that everyone is reading the same book, but everyone is going through a different kind of process while reading the book. So of course, when you are also reading these books, you should also write your thoughts, maybe keep a journal, maybe keep a logbook that, yes, this passage made me feel this way, this book made me feel that way. So it will also help you understand how this whole process is making you reflect on your own life as well. So these are my thoughts on Sana's question. Anyone from Panjsher would like to share their ideas as well?
Thank you once again. I would like to talk about the speech of Ms. Hormat Riaz, Ms. Yu, and Ms. Sana Akram. First, I want to say you that before you mentioned in your speaking that how those people feel that when they leave their country, especially you said that you are from Lahore, and when you become a refugee to other countries is when you back after 5 or 10 years to your own country. So how will you think on that moment? This is the pain of every Afghan people who are living in this country, and million people, they become refugee to other countries. And when they back to their country, as I mentioned before, that they lost many things, that they lost their home, house, family members, even their relationship which they had before. So this is, I hope that you will never leave your own country and your village and your area, that by affection of that, that you feel very sad. And the second, as Ms. Sana Akrami said about writing. So I'm going to say about writing and singing. These are the two main issues of every single one person, that who are the one who becomes singer. And we know that every year and all over the world, there are many people become singers and they sing songs, but nobody listens to them. But from them, among of them, the one become the top of them. So what is the reason? According to mindful, this is called the pen which we exist in our heart, that whenever we take out the pen of from our heart, the pen of the people from our hearts and by our tongue and our throats, so that is become heart, we can say heart touch to for every people or in every person, male and females. So it's a kind of one issue. And the second issue that you talk about the writing, as we know that every year thousands of books published and many people are reading, but nobody get interest to that. The reason is this: maybe there is something else. There is not something that's interesting exist with the people read and understand and think about that. So this is maybe only the one story. Maybe there will be some politician issue. Maybe there will be some other issue that is not. We can say when we go to in every library, thousands of books are existent there. But sometimes we think about those books that there would be a great, issues that when we are reading for the first time. So we have to feel this, that the person who write this book, the author of this person is, that he think about the people, that when I'm going to, work on this one, and I'm a day and night, I'm hard working on this. So I have to bring some changes on the people that who are reading my books. So when in their books there is only text and it is typed in a computer and there is nothing for useful, I'm sure that those books only exist in Bazaar and nobody want to buy that and nobody want to spend their own monies. So the thing the issue that I want to mention is that in writing section of the books, that book become very famous and most sell that book, the book which is exists the pen of the people, and they write something. This is one part of issue, and the second one is that when there is something for changes of the people. So page 1, page 2, part 1, part 2, 3, 4, 5, and how many parts is this, and how many chapters in the books is this. So when every page you are studying, like for example, sometimes when we are watching some dramas, so we are interested in what is happening tomorrow. So we, in books, this is also exists that when we read the first page, we think about what is exists in second page, what is exists in third page and fourth page. So this issue make us very interesting about first the book and second the person who write this. And even we think that when the second published or second edition of this book become third, fourth, fifth, that every person wait for this, that about new story, about new issues of this person, that he think about the people, about the changes of the people, and the one in every society. It doesn't mean that in a small society, in a small village, or in a small district, it is according to a country we are going to be talking. So when the book is become famous and everybody buy that and they're reading about it and telling a story to each other, such as that today we are going to talk about Khalid Husseini, that he make his book names that Kite Runners. So maybe he had some more pains in his heart that he couldn't explain by his tongue and by media, by the, like Facebook, like YouTube or other. He couldn't, but he tried to publish the book and to send for every single student, a person who like to study and they are not wasting their time in something else and they like to study. So by studying of this book, they sent or narrated their heart pain to the people of every country who like to study and who want to bring some changes in their own self. So according to writer, this is my idea that singing and writing are two main issue or two main part of every person, that when we have a pain with ourselves, so we can improve it, we find our love to, and we create our love to other people's hearts. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And you rightly said that singing and writing are two main processes that human beings use to explain what they are going through. So we are running out of time now. I would really like to thank all our participants for tuning into this session, for talking their hearts out about this book. And inshallah, next week we'll connect again with another book. I think your next book is going to be Fearless, Stories of Amazing Women from Pakistan. And a little bit about that book is really beautiful in a way that there are many illustrations in that book and you'll find it very colorful and you'll find it very interactive in that way. So I'm really looking forward to talking to you all again. And thank you so much, everyone. Hafiz, would you like to say something as an ending note?
No, as we know better, we are running out of time. So I like to talk about this and I'd like to add my comments. So for now, it is enough, I think. Because here we are linking it is 12, but it is a long time. For that reason, we don't have much time. Inshallah, in next week or in other sessions, we will talk about those issues. Inshallah.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for connecting. See you all next time. Khuda Hafiz.
Thank you, Hurmat. Thank you, everyone.